Welcome everybody to another edition of Amplify Your Business. On today's show, we're going to be talking to Jason Blower from Jason Blower Illustration, a little bit about increasing the average order value of your cart as people are checking out. And we're also going to touch a little bit into some of the other aspects of marketing art online. But without further ado, I want to invite Jason onto the show. Jason, how are you doing?
Doing good, Lance. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you could make it. And we're really excited to talk a little bit about your art. Tell me a little bit of, or give me a little bit of background on Jason Blower Illustration, what you're doing there, what style of art, and I guess what you've been up to since you started really pushing hard on the art business.
Sure. I make kind of mid-century modern inspired illustrations. A large part of my focus has been on illustrating local landmarks, particularly starting with Edmonton, and I've expanded to places like Calgary and Vancouver and some pieces in Toronto. And I've always been a creative person that always liked to make a large variety of stuff, but certainly I work for commercial applications as well. So I started off making my own artwork to sell to gain an audience, and then slowly added in commercial projects. And now I live a dual life where I run Jason Blower Illustration, which is my commercial sided of illustration, things that I make for kind of a commercial purpose. And then I also run Snow Alligator, which is my retail website where I sell the individual pieces for markets.
Okay, excellent. And so I've got up on the screen now, Jason Blower Illustration, jasonblower.com. And so just so that people can see some of your artwork, you've got a wide selection of prints here. Looks like lots of information across the top. So picture books. Walk me through, is that your coloring books? Because I know that you also do coloring books as well, right?
I do coloring books as well, but that's mostly marketed under Snow Alligator as it's a product.
Okay.
And this page is mostly designed for art directors that are looking to come hire an illustrator for an illustration commercial project.
Gotcha.
Or people that like my artwork and know me as an artist, and would like me to do something privately for their family or for a purpose in that regard.
Okay, excellent. So tell me a little bit about how COVID has maybe impacted your business, because we're filming this right now at the end of April 2020, and we're kind of still right in the thick of the whole self-isolation, which has created a closure situation or cancellation of all summer events now in Edmonton. And I know you're usually marketing a lot of your items in the events that are happening around the province, as well as, well, I guess Western Canada as well. So tell me a little bit about how that's impacting what your sales are going to be like, or the approach that you're taking to marketing now.
Sure. Currently, this up to about this period of time is really a quiet period in time for me. This is where I spend a lot of my time preparing and planning and making new work for the upcoming season. But certainly with COVID, all of the festivals and events that I typically go physically to sell are now canceled. Yeah. So I don't really know where my source of income is going to come to a large degree come later in the summer and even at Christmas, because of course how this is all going to impact everybody else's financial means. So some of the marketing that I have done is run some Facebook ads for the Calgary and Edmonton markets for my coloring and activity books, in order to give parents an option that might be kind of fun and local for them to kind of explore with their kids and kind of keep them busy and while they're doing other stuff. And that's gone well. And in addition, just try to plan out a lot of social media, just to, again, be organized to have stuff out to the audience.
Yeah, and so when it comes into the seasonality of your business, so the main season for you, I'd imagine, would be summers with the with the events, the festivals, and so on, and then you've got the fall lead up to Christmas with all of the craft markets. Would that be fair to say?
Actually, it's kind of the opposite on what you would think.
Okay.
It's Christmas is my largest financial seasonal time. Summer is my secondary, and then spring is my tertiary.
Okay.
So I make just a little bit to kind of pump, pad things up in the spring. Summertime is where I'm starting to really feel equalized financially, and then Christmas is where I really make like my most financial gains.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so that makes sense. And so now I'm going to click on the shop tab. This will take me over to Snow Alligator, correct?
That's right.
And so this is really your online store where you're marketing yourselves. And so this is for you, fortunately, I know there's a lot of artists out there who don't have much in the way of online retail stores. They might be selling on Etsy or something like that, but they don't have the infrastructure for their own personal collections. And so you've been doing this now for a while. How long have you been selling through Snow Alligator?
Uh, I started selling in approximately 2014 or 15.
Okay. Okay, so you're 5, 6 years, or going on to your 6th year
Yeah,
potentially
and I thought it was
with
really
this.
important to set up a separate online shop from like one of these like all-in-one platforms.
Hmm.
Mostly because you have no way of really communicating with your audience post purchase. Like you have no way of like all you can do is be passive and wait for more purchases. You can't be actively talking to them, so you can't build any
Yeah.
community.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a thing that a lot of people don't think about when they're first starting up their stores. And I think it's brilliant that you had that foresight, because we lose control of our customer when we're relying on another platform. And it's the same thing with regard to the advertising too. So there's a lot of businesses that have been built on Facebook. You create a Facebook page and you've got your whole audience there, and that's how you're engaging and communicating with them. And then Facebook changes the rules on you, and then all of a sudden you've lost that ability to reach that audience, or they block your account because of something or whatever, right? There's a lot of potential risk there. And so we always encourage people to have their own standalone shop. The way for them to be able to communicate and sell on their own, you take that control, you're going to be in a much better situation going forward. It takes a little bit of extra work, as I'm sure you can attest to, but at the same time, the payoff is better and you've reduced your risk. So I think you're doing a fantastic job here. I love this pop-up that just occurred here. So this is a time pop-up that is asking people to sign up for updates. So they're entering their email address and they get this free download, which is a Grain Elevator paper model. So I'd imagine you ship this to them, mail it to them, and they just cut it out and then build it with their kids. Is that the idea?
Yeah, it's just an email that they get. The printable PDF that they print out and then they can
Yeah.
assemble. So it doesn't require any like shipping or
Okay.
cost of value. It's just purely a digital giveaway.
Yeah, so fantastic. Your incremental cost is zero, right? Your marginal cost is zero,
And it's
but they
value.
see, yeah, but they see some value in it, and so they sign up. So this probably works really quite good. I love that. And I see you've got a sign up here, pops open the same thing. So if they were to close out at some other point, it's there and that's visible on the page whenever I'm scrolling, which again is really, really helpful
And I
to
think
try to get
it's
that.
and I think it's set to activate like one time a day. So if you looked at my website today, if you came back the next day, it would pop up again. But if you closed the page and came back an hour later, it wouldn't pop up.
Yeah.
Just so that it's not constantly popping up.
Yeah, so it's not irritating people. But I like the easy access here. So this is really good. Just scroll through your website real quickly. A couple things I would make quick suggestions for. This is kind of hard to read in all uppercase like this. It would be better to drop this down into sentence case for this what is Snow Alligator statement. Just a quick tip there. As I'm scrolling down too, I see another call to action to join the mailing list, which is great. So again, people, when you're trying, you want your website to be working for you. And so you want it to be a conversion tool. You don't want it just to be, some postcard that's out there on the internet. There's no point in that. You want it to drive your business. And as much as Jason, what he's doing is so visual, and his site could be just a bunch of basically postcards essentially, or examples of his prints. He's got this set up to be a lead generator. And so this join my mailing list, I like that you've got a second call to action for it later down on the page. What I don't understand is in the middle, you've got the shipping statement, which separates it from the form. So what I would do is I would move that form up so it's more tied to the join my mailing list call to action up here. And so either shift that down to the bottom, or you could even actually just push that shipping information down into the footer, which is very common on most e-commerce sites. I like what you.
It's definitely a formatting issue.
Okay, so just an error there. And so speaking of the footer, though, if we were to push it down into the footer, like that would be handy to have here, as well as links to maybe some of the top selling categories that you've got, so people can hyperlink quickly to those, your contact information. So I see you've got your social media here, which is great, but I would also throw in your email address or your phone number potentially if you wanted to have people phoning you directly. The other couple things that I would suggest on your site that a lot of people might find useful as well is to include a push notification sign up as well. And so when you're visiting a lot of sites nowadays, you'll see this little allow the site to send you notifications that usually pops up around this part of the page. Or you can block it, right? So there's usually accept or block as the buttons.
What
and
notifications would be set for something like that?
So what push notifications allow you to do is that anytime somebody is browsing any other website, it doesn't have to be back on your website. So if they have their browser open, you can send out a notification that then pops up. Usually that pop-up occurs down here on the bottom of whatever site that they're watching or they're visiting. And so you could pop up a little notification. So for instance, when things do open back up again and you're going to be at Folk Fest, right? So then you could have a little pop-up a few days before Folk Fest saying, hey, Snow Alligator or Jason Blower Illustration is going to be at Folk Fest. Come on by and take a look at some of the latest prints. Or if you've got a new print that you've finished and you want to market, you want to get the word out, get a little bit of awareness, you can have a little pop-up here that'll have then the new illustration and a link then to go to Snow Alligator website to be able to purchase that directly or to look at it and learn more about it. So that's a way of reaching your audience that isn't using email. So you don't have to get them to sign up for an email newsletter or anything, and doesn't cost you anything in terms of ad spend on Facebook or Instagram or wherever else you're going to be advertising. So it's really effective to build an audience, and it's not intrusive that, in terms of the pop-up call to action to get them to accept it. And a lot of people do actually, the acceptance rate is pretty decent on it. So it's just another avenue to build a custom audience that you can market to in the future. But I love it because then people are on their browsers all the time, and so you can pop that up regardless of where they're at. They don't have to come back to your website. And you could be running like a promo, for instance. So you could say, this week only, get for every purchase get this free print, or every purchase get this free postcard, or free shipping this week only, or whatever. So there's lots of different little things that you could be doing there. Okay, so that would be one thing. I would also suggest putting on here, and this can come down to a bit of a manpower issue potentially, but I would have somewhere on here a little chat bot, chat option. And so people can click on it and chat immediately with you if they've got any questions. And speaking of questions, actually, I would also have a little FAQ here. And within that FAQ is where you'd have some information about shipping, where you ship to, what the shipping cost might be, return policies, questions around minimum order size or anything like that, right? You have an FAQ is also a really good thing, because then it helps people get the answers that they need as they're trying to go through their purchase decision. And so if I've got all the answers, I can make my purchase decision a lot easier. than if I have questions and then it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to send an email to them, find your email address here or reach out to you on social media. If you had the chat window here that they can just pop up. Drift is a chat um, uh, software that I really like. It's really easy to use. It's really quite clean and powerful. So that would be one that I would suggest maybe taking a look at as well. And that can be connected then to your phone, right? So you can be getting these alerts anytime somebody's wanting to have a question answered. You can provide them the answers there. And in some cases, you can create the answers to commonly asked questions there as well. So just for the sake of time, though, let's move on and just talk a little bit about the order process. So for instance, let's say I wanted to click on this Rogers Place and I want to purchase this. I see I've got two different options here. So I've got in terms of sizes, if I were to add it to the cart, one of the things in terms of, oh, I love this. This is fantastic, Jason. Okay, so you got to share your cart for free shipping codes. Another little pop-up here. Great little message. So if they were to share it out on Facebook or Twitter or send an email to somebody, then it's going to give them a free shipping code that they can enter. So let me just take a look at your code here, or what pops up. Actually, this pop-out window maybe doesn't show. Does that show for you right now in the screen share?
Yeah, the pop-up shows. Yep.
Okay, good. So are the pop-out, so the share on Facebook, is that showing?
No, what you're sharing onto Facebook? No.
No, okay. So I was just going to show what that might look like, but just because of the screen sharing on this platform, it's not really allowing me to do that. But anyway, the key there is going to make sure that your message is right on that pop-up. So you want to have it pre-populated with some sort of message and maybe an image of one of your pieces of art or whatever the case might be, that then people can share to their network. And are you finding some success with this?
Yeah, I've gotten about, out of the 5 people that have actually added to cart, like 2 or 3 people have actually shared it.
Yeah, so this is something that you just implemented then
like
recently.
2 days ago.
Mm-hmm. So that's a really, really high success rate in the share. So love that. You're going to get greater exposure. Just make sure the message on the other side of that, so that gets shared with their audiences, is on mark with the messaging that you want. I'm just going to close that out right now. So now in terms of increasing that order value, what I really like to see happen is a little bit of a pop-up here that when I made this purchase, that would encourage me to maybe upsize it to that other larger size. So you're going to make more margin as a business on that incremental size increase because your print costs aren't going to be that much more. So your marginal cost doesn't increase, but your price was going to increase by $15 there. So that was a significant increase in price for very little increase in cost. And so what would be great here is you're using Shopify, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this applies for most of the major shopping carts out there, but you can usually get a plugin or an add-on to it, and Shopify has got an add-on that you can use. It's called Bold Upsell, and I think there's a few other ones as well, but Bold Upsell works really good. And what it does is it just automatically has this little pop-up that says, hey, for an extra $15, you can get this much larger canvas. And so it gives them that opportunity to click, yes, I want that, or no, I'll stick with the smaller one. And it just increases potentially that cart value. Another thing that that particular plugin allows is for you to be able to increase the number of things that you might be selling. So there might be a complementary thing that you would be selling. So in your business, it might be, say, a postcard of the same print. So you could add that. So it could be a little pop-up that says, hey, people who purchase this often purchase this other thing. And so I see down below here, you've got some, you might also like these other prints down at the bottom, but you have to scroll down. It's another kind of, it's out of the way, it's hidden, it's below the fold. The likelihood is a lot lower for people to go down there. But if you use the Amazon way, which is basically have that little pop-up is, yeah, people who also purchase this like this. And so then all of a sudden they're adding more things to their cart. And so that's a cross-sell, it's called. So that's adding an additional product that they might find useful or interesting. You have those coloring books, which might be great, where, in this case, it's an Edmonton print. You've got an Edmonton-based coloring book. So maybe that's something where it's like, hey, if you've got kids, consider adding this coloring book to your cart as well for an extra. And you could even give a little discount if you want it, or you can be selling it for the full price. It doesn't matter too much. Obviously discounts, you can increase that urgency. And so it's like for this purchase only, if you add the coloring book, you get it at, a 10% discount or something like that. So that's going to increase the value of that cart. And it's always easier to get somebody to add more to their cart than it is to get another person to come in and actually start a cart. And so it's really important to extract as much value out of that interaction as possible.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So the other things that you can do in terms of increasing the order value, or some of the things that you could be adding into this whole transaction, is offering free shipping, as an example, if they meet a minimum order. So you might not do that in conjunction with the pop-up that you've got right now that we saw before, which had them sharing for it, because they're going to get that free coupon anyway, free coupon code. But if you didn't have that, or if you wanted to mix it up and try a couple different options or strategies, that's a really good one too. So you see that a lot of times where it's like, well, we offer free shipping on orders over $100 or over $50 or whatever that limit is, and that'll get them adding more things to their cart. Another thing that really helps is starting a loyalty program as well. So providing like early access to new products or freebies, discounts on future purchases, priority shipping, those kind of things can work really well to get people to either basically sign up for that loyalty program so you can market more stuff to them. So that's more around total value of the customer. But you could also be offering something like that, an incentive for them to sign up for that loyalty program at the time of checkout as well. So that might not get an increased value at checkout, but you're going to incent them basically, or give them one more reason to sign up for that newsletter or to be part of the Snow Alligator, priority membership. Target customers based on their purchase history is another thing that can really help increase your overall sales. And so that would be monitoring and seeing, okay, well, what customer purchased this? So for instance, the print that we've got here for this Rogers print, we know then that they're a fan of Edmonton. So then in that case, we might want to put them into an Edmonton purchases group and then remarket or market additional products to them that are Edmonton-esque, or that might be, in this case, it's a sports theme as well, maybe other sports related type of products that you're selling as well. Bundling your products is also really important in terms of increasing that value. So I didn't see anything on your site right now that has that, but the idea there would be to say, okay, well, you can get this print plus these postcards and a coloring book for this lump sum price, right? So instead of just purchasing just a print alone, you could do it, or a bundle of prints or whatever that offer that makes most sense for you. Using the live chat, like I mentioned, can really help as they're going through the checkout process. And then I already have targeted customers. So yeah, that's about it, I think, in terms of some quick tips. Any questions at all in any of those, Jason?
Sure. So let's say, because like most of my stuff is Edmonton, and I have some Calgary and some Vancouver, but like obviously it's way easier to physically be in Edmonton at festivals and markets than traveling to somewhere like Vancouver or Toronto or wherever. What say if I was to come up with a new series of prints for, say, Winnipeg, how would I go about marketing something new to a cold audience like that?
Okay, so if you're going into a marketplace in which nobody knows your brand already, you're going to have to do some awareness-based advertising in order to get, your brand in front of them and the product and services that you might be offering. And so in your case, if you're going into Winnipeg, what I would recommend, because you have such a visual product, is I would be doing some ads on Facebook and Instagram, probably would be the two. And I know you've got good channels on both of those already set up. So if you were to go into Winnipeg, I would start with probably a video. So that could be a slideshow type video where you're just basically going through a bunch of your Winnipeg prints. So prints that the Winnipeg audience might be interested in. And the reason why I would start with a video first, as far as an ad, is that you can create a custom audience then for anybody who watches a certain percentage of that video. And this is important because typically what you're looking for with most ads is you're trying to get a micro conversion to occur. So get them to come over to your website or clicking on the ad so that you can create then some sort of remarketing ad to them the next basically ad to show them. So you show them one, and you usually can't convert them on just one. You usually have to have a couple different touch points. And so in order to do that, you need to get some mechanism of creating a custom audience for them. And if you haven't got them to give you their email address, you can't be email marketing them yet. So you need to then have a way of creating a custom audience back on that Facebook platform. And so to do that, you can have them click on an ad to take them over to your website. And if you have the Facebook pixel there, then it will track that and you can create a custom audience off of anybody who visited the website then. But that's harder to do to get somebody to move over to the website from Facebook than it is to just get them to just watch a video within Facebook. And when they watch a video, you can create a custom audience from anybody who watches that video. So it's a really powerful type of ad to be running in the sense of creating those custom audiences. And they get to see a lot of your work if you've got it set up so that it's cycling through a few of your pieces. So that's what I would do first. Set up a little video ad and set it for video views is the objective that you want in Facebook. And that's going to maximize the number of impressions you're going to get for that video. And you want to set it up with the geography nailed down to Winnipeg, and then you can do some interest-based and demographic-based filtering as well. So a particular gender or particular age, particular interests. So those people who maybe are interested in art, as an example, that might be an interest that you would want to select. So you've got your audience set up and you're showing them those ads. And then as they are watching them, you're creating a custom audience from that. And then what you want to do is send them another ad, a day later or whenever they're over on Facebook again still. You let the Facebook algorithm deliver it to them. But that next ad is going to be, in my opinion, a carousel ad. And so with the carousel ad, I would have it flip between, 3, 5, 10 different images of art that you've got set up for that Winnipeg market. And each one of those can have a call to action button that can direct them over then to your website, your Snow Alligator shopping site, in right to the landing page. So for instance, if this was University of Winnipeg print instead of Alberta, this would be the URL that you'd want to be sending them from that ad over to. So they're right here clicking on it. And then obviously the you might also like should be all populated with Winnipeg based ones.
Right.
And then
okay.
Yeah. And then what you're hoping for, because they will get that pop-up as well for the sign up. So if they don't purchase this, then they will get that pop-up or they'll sign up here as well. So you've got that opportunity of getting their email address, drop them, and then tag them as being from Winnipeg, and then have a separate email sequence that you would send out to them that would deliver more information about all the artwork that you've got available with that Winnipeg brand or interest there to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to marketing in general, and we've covered this off in some of the other previous episodes as well. So for those of you who haven't watched some of the previous episodes, you can head over to amplemedia.com/amplify, and that will get you over to our archive of all the other episodes. And in those other episodes, we talk a little bit about email marketing. And so I'll leave that discussion to be had over there. Did you have any other questions at all, Jason?
Not off the top of my head, no. I think that gives me a lot to kind of work on for sure, and to figure out, what items and how and what sequence I need to kind of promote.
Yeah, like when it comes to marketing art, it's just like any other product. You want to be marketing something that, or marketing to people who are going to see the value in it. And so it's all about generating that awareness of your work or the product or service that you have, and then creating a situation in which you can communicate the value of it, as because every buyer will go through, usually that there's an awareness stage, and then there's a stage where they are trying to assess whether or not they want to purchase it. So that's usually in the nurturing phase, and that's where those remarketing ads as well as the email drip, once you've got an email, can help nudge them along that. And I love to have customer testimonials. So if you can get in that nurturing phase, which is the consideration phase, if you can get them to get some of your existing customers to basically say how much they love your artwork, you're going to then have other people then get pushed along that buying journey just a little bit more. They'll get nudged along because they're seeing other people also saying how much they love it. And so it just reinforces the idea that they should be buying a piece of your art.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
again, whoops, I'm to the wrong slide there. So again, thank you very much. It keeps jumping to it. All right. Anyway, thank you very much, Jason, for taking the time today to share a little bit about your business, Jason Buller Illustration and Snow Alligator. For those of you who appreciate great art, definitely go check out his website. Again, for those who didn't see the URL, you want to go over to snowalligator.com to find the storefront, and you want to go over to jasonblower.com for any other information about the commissions and everything else that Jason is doing from an art perspective. He's definitely, in my opinion, one of the best artists here that we've got in the city of Edmonton. And he's probably the most business-oriented artist I've ever met. And so you're doing tons of great stuff, Jason. You just have to keep it up. And there's a little tweaking that can occur that'll see some added value. But I think you're on the right track, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Lance.
Okay, so again, everybody, check out the past episodes over at amplimedia.com/amplify, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.